Okay girls, I'm going to show you how to make a histogram using Excel. So we're going to, you can see I've got Excel open in the background here. I'm going to just flick back across to, oops, wrong one, flick back across to some data. Okay, so I am going to select the data, the height data from the class data set, Control C, and then across into Excel and Control V to paste that information in there. That's very small, so I'm going to make it bigger. Okay, now to make a histogram, I need some intervals, because I need an interval, like an interval of heights for each of my columns. So I'm going to start with intervals. I'm going to start with the smallest, I think in here is 156, so 155 to 159, 160 to 164, 165 to 169, and then 170 to 174. Okay, you might need a few more than this. I'm not taking lots of notice of the data at the moment. Okay, and then what we need to do is we need to count how many people would fall into that category, and we call that the frequency. Okay, so for 155 to 159, I'm just going to I'm going to highlight them for you just so that you can see, not that, Control Z. Okay, so before I start, I'm just going to round these off. Silly me, I put in 159.5 because every half a centimetre counts, and I'll round that up to 168. Okay, so now they're all nice whole numbers for us. Alright, so in the first category, the third one would count, and then we'd have this one, and not too far, this one, and this one, and I think there was one more. Yep, there we go. Okay, so there's actually 5 students who had a height between 155 and 159, so we will put a 5 in there. Okay, now I'm not going to count the rest, but let's just say they were 10 and 7 and 2. And then that would add up to 10 plus 5 plus 7 would make 22, 24, so that's about how many students there are in a class. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to highlight these and insert a chart, column chart. So Excel does most of the hard work for us. We need to change the chart title, obviously. You need to add some axis titles and change those to something appropriate. So on the vertical axis here it should say frequency, and then down here it should say height intervals in centimetres. Remember to put the units on. And the final thing is, because this is actually continuous data, which means the heights can actually be any value within the range, it doesn't make sense for the columns to be separated. See how there's a big gap between them? So we want the columns to be made wider so that there's no gap between them. The way to do that is to double click on one of them, and this window at the side comes up, and you just change the gap width down to 0, and that makes the columns wide for you. Okay, and you're all done. Alright, so you would need to paste that. I would just take a screenshot of this and paste it into your genetics roulette electronic document. And we're done.